Imagine being imprisoned as a prisoner of war, surrounded by adversaries, and without any possibility of escape. More than 600 Allied airmen in World War II had to deal with the reality. However, they weren't happy to watch helplessly while their destiny was decided. The Great Escape was an improbable endeavor that they tried with bravery, strategy, and a little luck. Join us as we explore the brave and daring tale of one of history's most amazing escapes.
On March 25, 1944, just after 5 a.m., a German soldier patrolling the perimeter of the Stalag Luft III POW camp in Aga, Poland, spotted slushy tracks in the snow outside the camp.
He saw a prisoner skulking in the snow as he drew nearer. The soldier discharged his pistol into the air and shouted for assistance as he realized an escape was taking place. 4 detainees were taken prisoner at the mouth of a tunnel after alarms went out all across the camp and floodlights were turned on. The scope of the escape, which was the greatest of the war, was only understood by the Germans in the hours that followed. 76 men had succeeded in leaving, but hardly none of them would escape to freedom.
The escape strategy.
Stalag Luft III was considered to be a very difficult place to escape from. The camp, which was run by the Luftwaffe, was constructed on sand, which made tunneling challenging. The prisoner huts were raised so that any tunnels could be seen, and around the fence, seismograph microphones were buried 9 feet below to listen for digging. Thousands of captives were kept in the camp. Although some of the inmates and employees there were from other Western and Eastern allies as well, the majority were officers from the US, UK, and Commonwealth aviation services. Before being shot down at Dunkirk, Royal Air Force Squadron leader Roger Bushell tried 2 escapes from other camps, but he was undeterred by the challenges. Bushell established an escape committee in March 1943 to plan a significant and extremely dangerous escape. It would take 3 30-foot deep tunnels to evacuate 200 men from the camp. The fugitives would then go to a neutral country on trains or on foot while carrying fake passports, civilian clothing, maps, and compasses, or they would search for resistance groups that would help them. If that didn't work, they were to evade capture as long as they could to make the Germans focus their military efforts on finding them.
The enormous effort.
For a year, some 600 inmates worked on the project. 500 compasses were given out, 4,000 maps were acquired or replicated, and 50 full outfits were created nearly entirely from scratch. Additionally, hundreds of fake documents, including worker papers and travel credentials, were produced. During the building of the tunnels, some 100 tons of sand were manually mined and covertly placed across the jail grounds. The tunnels, nicknamed Tom, Dick, and Harry, used wood from 4,000 bedboards, 62 tables, 34 chairs, and 76 benches for support beams and ladders. While Dick was abandoned and used for storage when the land it connected to was cleared for camp expansion, Tom was found by the Germans in September 1943. Only Harry was left. It was 336 feet long and 2 feet broad when it was constructed under a stove in Hut 104. The tunnel has air circulation, a small trolley line, and electric lighting installed throughout it. By March 14, the tunnel had been deemed suitable for use, but Bushell and the committee preferred to hold off on making their escape until a gloomy, moonless night. The escape was planned on March 24, when the weather was predicted to be good.
The Big Escape.
200 guys were jammed inside Hut 104 when the breakout attempt started at 8:45 p.m. However, there were immediate issues. The escapees had to spend more than an hour excavating their way out since the dirt just below the surface had frozen due to the frigid weather and heavy snowfall. They found further issues as they broke through the surface. Unexpectedly, the tunnel stopped short of the tree line and was only 15 yards from a sentry post outside. That nearly convinced them to abandon their effort to flee, but the fake papers were date-stamped and useless if not utilized. Escapees emerged from the hole and made their way into the woods one by one. One guy left on average every 6 minutes as opposed to the intended every 2 minutes, making progress agonizingly slow. A nearby bombing attack led the Germans to turn off the electricity, and many cave-ins added to the delays. It became apparent that they would fall short of their target of 200 eluders. The officer Bushel left in charge chose to stop at 87 even though he had already departed, but the discovery of the 77th guy abruptly put an end to that plan. Prisoners ready to escape started trashing their fake papers, maps, compasses, and food rations at the entrance of the tunnel. All of the captives were dragged from their huts by the guards, who then searched for any missing people. By using false identities and moving about, the convicts did their best to buy time for their fellow inmates, but they were given the option of being executed if they didn't cooperate. The region was on alert in a matter of hours.
The devastating end to the amazing story.
As soon as the scope of the escape was realized, a huge manhunt was launched. 2 weeks later, 73 had been caught again. Hitler ordered the execution of all escapees out of rage at their brazenness, which was a flagrant breach of the Geneva Conventions. Hitler instead ordered that more than half be killed when German generals countered that doing so would put captured German airmen at risk of Allied retaliation. The Gestapo killed 50 individuals either single or in pairs in the weeks that followed. To cover up the killings, they were taken to remote areas close to the camp. They were all classified as having died while avoiding capture or trying to flee. The remaining 23 detainees were sent to various detention facilities, including as Kolditz Castle and Sachsenhausen concentration camp. After the war, 18 Gestapo officers were put on trial for the killings. While 13 people were given death sentences and put to death, just 5 got jail terms. Only 3 airmen managed to get away. Per Bergsland and Jensmüller, 2 Norwegian pilots, traveled to Stettin and boarded a Swedish ship bound for neutral Sweden. The rest of the war was subsequently spent as flying instructors in Canada after they had flown to Scotland. A Dutch aviator named Bram van der Stok managed to reach neutral Spain with the aid of many resistance organizations. He fought as a fighter pilot for the remainder of the war after arriving in Britain via Gibraltar.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel for more videos.